November 2025 has arrived with more uncertainty than ever before. And for millions of Americans depending on Social Security, this month has turned into something far more complicated than anyone expected. Beneath the surface, major developments are unfolding, many of which the mainstream media isn't talking about yet. And these changes have the potential to impact retirees, disabled workers, widows, and low-income seniors across the country. There's a lot happening behind the scenes, and by the time this month ends, the effects could ripple through households that rely on these checks to survive. Today, we're going to take a deep look into what's changing, what remains stable, and what every Social Security recipient needs to be aware of as November continues. Welcome to Truth Lens, where we shine a light on the facts that matter most to working class Americans, retirees, and those living on fixed incomes. Our goal here is simple: to deliver the truth clearly without spin, and to give voice to millions of seniors who feel like they've been left behind by a system that once promised them security. We know that for many older Americans, these monthly Social Security checks are more than just deposits. They're the difference between paying rent or skipping a meal, between filling a prescription or keeping the lights on. Times are hard, and this month is testing that reality more than ever. Let's start with the basics. The November payment schedule. There's been a lot of confusion online, so let's set the record straight. If you receive Supplemental Security Income, SSI, your payment actually came early this month. It arrived on Friday, October 31st instead of November 1st, since the first fell on a Saturday. That's a standard how the Social Security Administration, SSA, always pays SSI early if the first day of the month lands on a weekend or federal holiday. However, that also means there won't be a second SSI payment in November. The next one won't come until Monday, December 1st. So make sure you plan your spending accordingly to avoid a gap at the end of the month. Now, for those who began receiving Social Security before May 1997, or those who get both Social Security and SSI, your payment was scheduled for Monday, November 3rd. For everyone else, it depends on your date of birth. Birthdays from the 1st to the 10th are paid on Wednesday, November 12th. Birthdays from the 11th to the 20th are paid on Wednesday, November 19th. Birthdays from the 21st to the 31st are paid on Wednesday, November 26th, just before Thanksgiving. These payments usually hit your account around midnight Eastern time, though banks and financial institutions may process them at different times. For those using Direct Express cards, the deposits generally appear first thing in the morning. The SSA has confirmed that payments are being processed normally, but that's where the good news stops, because behind the scenes, the system that delivers these payments is under enormous strain. The federal government shutdown, now dragging into several weeks, has created major backlogs across federal offices, including the Social Security Administration. While Social Security benefits are classified as mandatory spending, meaning they're supposed to continue even during a shutdown, and the reality on the ground tells a different story. Across the nation, local SSA offices have shortened hours, reduced staff, or in some cases closed entirely. Offices in large states like California, Texas, New York, and Pennsylvania have been especially hard hit. Many have shifted to phone-only service, but even that isn't going smoothly. Reports from across the country describe people waiting on hold for hours, only to have their calls dropped or rerouted. This has been particularly devastating for older Americans who don't have easy access to the internet or aren't comfortable using online systems. One retiree from Houston summed it up simply: "We can't just click and fix things online." And she's right. The technology that powers the Social Security Administration is outdated, in some cases dating back to the 1980s. Now, with a skeleton staff and overloaded systems, cracks are beginning to show. Adding to that growing anxiety is a story that's barely being covered: a data security scare that has shaken confidence in the SSA's digital infrastructure. A whistleblower, a former data officer named Charles Voorhees, revealed that millions of Social Security records were recently transferred to a vulnerable cloud server as part of a so-called efficiency initiative directed by the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, a task force focused on cost-cutting led by Elon Musk. This transfer reportedly included sensitive personal data, names, addresses, and full Social Security numbers. SSA officials claim that no breach has occurred and that the information remains secure. However, insiders paint a different picture, one of rushed decisions, minimal oversight, and inadequate cybersecurity protections. While there's no confirmed leak yet, just the idea that such a massive transfer happened without strong safeguards is deeply unsettling, especially for seniors who depend on the SSA to protect their most personal information. Many retirees already worry about scams and identity theft, and this development has only intensified those fears. Speaking of scams, fraudsters are exploiting the chaos. A new wave of fake letters and calls has spread across the country. Some of these forgeries even feature the U.S. Supreme Court seal, claiming that Social Security numbers have been suspended due to criminal activity. These letters urge recipients to call a fake hotline or send money to reactivate their benefits. It's all a scam. The SSA does not suspend Social Security numbers, threaten arrests, or demand payments over the phone. Unfortunately, these scams are targeting the most vulnerable Americans, retirees who trust that official-looking letters are real and who can least afford to lose their savings. Meanwhile, the delayed 2026 cost of living adjustment, COLA, announcement continues to loom over everything. The shutdown delayed the Bureau of Labor Statistics from releasing the final inflation data needed to calculate the COLA, so the SSA had to push back its own announcement until October 24th. Early estimates suggest the adjustment will land between 2.6% and 2.8%, slightly higher than last year's 2.5%. That means the average retiree, currently receiving around $2,080 per month, could see an increase of about $50 to $55 per month starting in January 2026. However, that number is before factoring in Medicare Part B premium increases, which are expected to rise by roughly $21.50 per month. After accounting for that deduction, the real increase most seniors will see is closer to $30 per month. It's an improvement, but for many Americans, it's still nowhere near enough. Groceries, utilities, and prescription costs continue to rise, and even a small rent increase can wipe out that COLA entirely. Across the nation, countless seniors are being forced to stretch every dollar, often having to decide between paying for medication or food, a cruel choice that no one who worked their entire life should ever have to face. There's also another issue quietly unfolding. Proposed changes to SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, eligibility. The Trump administration has floated new rules that could tighten qualification standards, particularly for older applicants. Analysts estimate that if these proposals go through, approval rates could drop by as much as 20%. That means workers who spent decades in physically demanding jobs and construction, manufacturing, trucking, and who can no longer work due to age and injury could find themselves denied disability benefits. For those who are then forced into early retirement, it would mean permanently reduced benefits for life, as much as 30% less every month. And looming over all of this is the long-term solvency crisis of Social Security itself. The 2025 trustees report warns that if Congress doesn't act, the main trust fund could be depleted by 2033. That doesn't mean benefits vanish. It means automatic cuts of about 23% across the board. Lawmakers have floated a variety of proposals to fix it, raising the retirement age, lifting the income cap on taxable wages, or increasing payroll taxes for higher earners. But as of now, none have gained traction. Meanwhile, time is running out, and millions of retirees are left wondering whether the system they paid into for decades will still be there for them in full. As of today, the official word from SSA is that payments remain secure and deposits are being processed as scheduled, but the agency is operating under extreme strain. Offices are short-staffed, phone systems are overloaded, and fraud attempts are rising. For seniors trying to navigate this mess, many without modern technology or nearby family support, it's a situation that feels increasingly isolating. And yet, through all this uncertainty, there's something remarkable: resilience. Across America, millions of seniors continue to adapt, to budget, to plan, and to keep going. They've lived through wars, recessions, pandemics, and now digital chaos, and they're still standing. November may be unpredictable, but Social Security, for all its cracks, is still functioning, still sending payments, and still keeping millions afloat. So as we move through this turbulent month, one truth remains clear: seniors deserve stability, transparency, and respect. The Social Security program was built on a promise that after a lifetime of work, Americans could retire with dignity. It's time for that promise to be honored fully. And here at Truth Lens, we'll continue to track every development, expose what others won't, and bring you the facts that affect your benefits, your security, and your future.